Hi there, guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's happy out there and everybody's having a good day. Now, hot on the heels of yesterday's wolf story, I would like to follow it up with another one, which is quite comical, but not for me. For me, it was highly embarrassing. For you, you might find it comical. In fact, I'm sure that you guys probably will. But it's something that will haunt me forever, and I will tell you about it. I want to talk to you about, well, I know that, a couple of people wanted little stories about me, or one person in particular wanted a little story about me, or stories about me and my wolves, and there's one particularly funny one. I didn't think it was funny at the time. That noise you hear down there is Lily, and she's got a wrapper. I don't know what she's doing. But there's one story that was, everybody seemed to think was hilarious, particularly a large audience, which was growing at the time, but I didn't. And I'll tell you about it. It was a summer's afternoon, and it was in the summer holidays, so subsequently the zoo that I worked at was absolutely stopped to overloaded with members of the public. And I happened to pass the wolf enclosure. I think I might have just I hadn't given a talk. I've given a talk earlier, but not at that point. And I thought, what's going on there? And I noticed that the wolves, there was 3 in the enclosure at the time, and I noticed that they were egging each other on. They were trying to get each other to do something. And when I looked closely, I also noticed that they had an object. Now, if you think about, I'm trying to give you a rough idea of what the enclosure was like, how it was designed. And inside the enclosure, to give it more of an authentic look, what we did is we built it way up high. And the reason was it was to give it a mountainous effect. And the den was sort of maybe halfway down it. But at the top of it, we had a running fresh water. And it kind of but it kind of made its way down into a large pool at the bottom of the mountaintop, as it were. And the wolves loved it, and they used to frolic in it and play in it, and they used to have great fun with it. And it was a constant feed of fresh water for them. Now, I noticed that they were at the top of this mound one day, and they were rolling something down, and I stopped to look, and I thought, what have they got in there? And they would let it roll down, and then one of them would come down from the top of the hill, and she would grab whatever it was, take it back up, then she would drop it down, and then another, and they were having a great time. They were absolutely loving it. And I thought, well, I've got to go in there and see what that is, because I don't know what it is. They could have anything. It could be dangerous. I don't know what they've got. So I had to go in there and retrieve it from them. And it was lucky that I did, because what they had, I feel so sorry for the victim, because what they had was a hedgehog. And this hedgehog, they didn't do any harm to it. They were just playing with it. They treated it like a spiky ball, and it was furled up, and it was solid. It was rock tight, and they thought it was great to just take it in turns to get this hedgehog, which they treat like a ball, take it to the top of the hillock, and then roll it down through the stream, and then watch it plop down, and then go and fetch it. And as I say, that's what they were doing. And I thought, I can't have this. I just can't have this. So I went in there and I thought, right, I'm going to take this off of them. So I gave them a good ticking off, which doesn't really work, because they take no notice of me, a bit like my kids. And I proceeded to walk over to where this hedgehog was and pick this hedgehog up. And of course, that made the game even better, didn't it? They thought that was hilarious, because what they then tried to do is, while I had the hedgehog wrapped up in a jumper, like this, and I was protecting this hedgehog, because I thought, poor thing's had enough trauma, it doesn't want any more. And what I did is I wrapped it up my jumper, and I tried to make my way to the side of the enclosure where there was a wire fence, which is about 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall, and I wanted to pass the hedgehog over to another keeper to rescue it. Now, in theory, that sounds very probable, and it sounds like it would work, but in practice, it didn't. In practice, it was like a not so silent comedy movie, but it was, I don't know. But the wolves, anyway, what they did, they thought, oh, well, okay, what we'll do then, if we can't get the hedgehog, and he's obviously taking the hedgehog because he wants to be involved in the game, what we'll do is we'll try and tug at his clothing. Well, they did. They did tug at my clothing. Now, bear in mind, the audience that had gathered by this point was actually quite large. And so what they did is they tugged at my shorts and they pulled them down. But, you see, and I had my back turned to the audience, so they saw the full moon, as it were, because not only did they get the pants down, the shorts down, but then they started to tug at the pants. And I've got a hedgehog here. I'm trying to pull my shorts back up. Another one's come behind me. She's got hold of my pants. They're pulling them down. And so, yeah, you can guess. It was indeed a full moon, which obviously wasn't a pretty sight for anybody. And it's not something that I would wish upon anybody to see me in all my, to see me in that part of my birthday suit. But it went on for about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. It seemed like it was going on for ages. It seemed like it was going on for hours. But in turn, it wasn't even 10 minutes, probably about 5 minutes. And so my trousers were around my ankles, my shorts were around my ankles, my pants was pulled down at the back. And then they tried to, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough fun for them. Then they tagged me by grabbing hold of my jumper and then pulling that. So there I was, trousers or shorts around my ankles, pants pulled down sort of half, 3/4 of the way, trying to make my way to save this poor hedgehog any more distress towards the side of the enclosure. And then, as I say, then with 3 wolves hanging off of me, each pulling at a different part of my jumper. And I managed to get the hedgehog out of there. The hedgehog, you'll be happy to know, was completely unharmed and safe. And we released the hedgehog back into the woodlands, far away from where the wolf enclosure was. And I don't even know how the hedgehog got in there, really, because the wolf enclosure was obviously for security and for safety, has to be as secure and tight as anything. It has to be like a bank vault. It really does. So how the hedgehog accessed it, I will never know. I don't know to this day. But that's just one of the extraordinary and embarrassing stories that I have from being a zookeeper. And of course, it wasn't even that a lot of the public were fleeting members that had just come for the day. You know, some of these, and they never let me forget it, some of these were actually yearly members. So, you know, every time they came back, they used to bring us roll this story. Do you remember that time when the wolves got hold of your shorts and pulled them down around you? Yes, I do, and I don't wish to be reminded of it. But that's just one of the funny stories that I have of working with wolves. They shouldn't have let me loose with them, really, because these are highly intelligent creatures, and to be honest, they were a lot more on the ball than I was at the time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I didn't. Reliving my embarrassment is never a good thing, but I just thought that I'd give it to you guys to just make what you will of, and hopefully enjoyed that little story. Take it easy, guys.